Hi, my name is Ty Vomsal. This is my EDL851 case study for teacher reacts negatively to personnel evaluation. So to summarize the case that we are looking at, the case involves the supervising and evaluating principal of a school and a probationary teacher, Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is one contract renewal away from earning tenure at the school, but based off of observations and supervision from the principal, does not appear to have a firm grasp on the engagement and classroom management of her students. Additionally, she is disinterested in receiving and considering feedback or suggestions for improvement to support the future success and well-being of her students from her supervisor who is conducting the evaluations. After 2 classroom visits, both with similar experience of disengaged students, talking over each other, not necessarily paying attention at all to what Ms. Stevens is doing, the principal has decided that Ms. Stevens should not be recommended for a contract renewal, as she has not even given an attempt to improve her practice or take any of the feedback given into consideration for improvement. In a meeting to discuss the observations and evaluations, and upon receiving the news, Ms. Stevens refutes the claim that she has not made any attempts to improve her practice, citing the fact that the supervision she has received has not been helpful, it has not actually given her anything to work with, and that she really hasn't been supervised in the first place. She also threatens that she will take this issue to court if necessary, leaving the principal with a tough decision to make on how to proceed moving forward. To look at the legal and ethical issues of the case, there are a couple things that we need to discuss here. First off, has anyone in this situation been harmed? The potential relationship between the principal and Ms. Stevens has been harmed based on the nature of the conversation and evaluations regarding her teaching and classroom management strategies, as well as her lack of attempts to engage in the process for continuous improvement. Additionally, the students' success and well-being has been harmed by Ms. Stevens' ineffective teaching practices, and other stakeholders, teachers within her department, other teachers within the school, the families of the students, they could all be affected by this situation, whether she is allowed to stay on and be ineffective, or whether the actions of non-renewing her create a larger issue within the court system and within the school. Does this situation contravene existing law? Technically, under Colorado law, the chief administrative officer of the employing school district may recommend that the board not renew employment contracts of a probationary teacher for any reason he or she deems sufficient. The board may, but shall not be required to, agree by contract or school district policy to make the reasons for non-renewal a grievable action. So, to summarize, under Colorado law, probationary teachers can be non-renewed at any time for any reason that is deemed sufficient by the chief administrative officer or the principal superintendent. These are not necessarily always grievable actions, and technically they don't even need to be discussed unless it has been requested by the probationary teacher. So in this situation, if this was occurring in Colorado, Ms. Stevens really honestly would not have a lot of recourse for fighting the recommendation for non-renewal. So has there been a breach of contract or discriminatory action or harassment? I do not believe that there's been a breach of contract, discrimination, or harassment occurring on the side of the principal. Ms. Stevens is a probationary teacher who's not willing to accept feedback from an evaluator that's designed to promote school improvement and student success. If professional learning and actionable feedback was not provided to Ms. Stevens for improvement, non-renewal may not be an incredibly fair response, but technically not illegal. So to synthesize the situation, as a principal, I'm faced with the tough decisions. Ms. Stevens is one contract renewal away from tenure, but has demonstrated a consistent aversion to accepting feedback to engage in the development of collaborative professional culture to promote school improvement and student success, but claims that if her contract is not renewed, she will take the fight to court, citing a lack of adequate supervision and professional learning opportunities as the reason for her current effectiveness level. To synthesize the facts that we're dealing with here, starting with the people, this situation involves the supervisor and principal of the school, obviously Miss Stevens, the probationary teacher. It does involve the principal supervisor, who the principal is making hiring recommendations to. And then it also involves the stakeholders that are in the classroom and associated with the individuals in the classroom. So students' family, the general school success, the department members that work with Miss Stevens, generally all stakeholders involved in the school system. The place that it is working in, the location of the school and school demographic is not explicitly stated. It's not even 100% clear what grade level the school is. The student level, whether she's working with ELD students, whether she's working with GT. There's not a whole lot of specific information on the place, the demographic of the students, the school district, anything like that. All we know for sure is this situation is occurring in Miss Stevens' classroom and is being extended to the principal's office for teacher evaluation meetings. So as far as our physical space, those are the two areas that we know for sure we're working with. The program, it's stated that Miss Stevens is a content expert in an unknown content, and it is at an unknown school serving students of an unknown grade level. Miss Stevens is at least a second or third year teacher based off the fact that she is one contract renewal away from tenure, so she's not a brand new teacher. That implies that there have been opportunities in the past for professional learning, for previous supervision and evaluation, actionable feedback. It's not like this is her very first run through and they're just getting rid of her immediately. Based off the fact that she's about to earn tenure, leads me to believe that you would hope that any principal in this situation would have been able to provide specific actionable feedback for improvement prior to this exact evaluation that we're working with. It is implied based off of the text that the principal does not have the specific content knowledge experience with Miss Stevens' content. It also could just be something that Miss Stevens has said in her displeasure of the nature of the meeting, saying, "You've never taught my class, you don't know what it's like." So based off of the information that we're going with, we're living under a lot of assumptions for the nature of this case study. To review some of the specific and important information, starting specifically with stakeholders. The stakeholders that this involves are, again, the principal, Miss Stevens students, the superintendent for which the recommendation is going to be made to, the school community, other teachers, and students' family. This scenario could pose issues for a lot of stakeholders involved. The principal's leadership can be impacted by a court battle over non-renewal. Miss Stevens' career and reputation can be impacted by the principal's decision on non-renewal or renewal, either way. Miss Stevens' students' well-being could be negatively impacted by a disgruntled educator who has been informed that she is to be non-renewed, assuming that she works out the rest of her contract. That may or may not bode well for the rest of the academic school year. An ugly non-renewal of a colleague with a very public battle about it could impact the perception of the principal as the leader of the school. But on the other end, withdrawal of a non-renewal could send the wrong message of a principal being easily influenced by threat or conflict, not feeling like they really have command of their school and are going to follow through with the best course of action if it's going to lead to any conflict. Other things for stakeholder and stakeholder consultation and impact. All stakeholders have not been consulted in the proposed scenario. As presented, the only stakeholders that have been involved in the situation and decision are the superintendent as a secondary stakeholder, meaning he's the one that the decision is being recommended to. The other stakeholders involved would be the principal and supervisor and evaluator and Miss Stevens. I guess by default, Miss Stevens' students have been involved, but not to the level of like specific meetings and up to the knowledge of non-renewal versus renewal and evaluations. They're secondary involved based off of the fact that they are in Miss Stevens' class. To promote current and future success and well-being of each student and adult, More involvement from stakeholders could be used to demonstrate the commitments necessary to build a school's professional capacity, engage staff in the development of collaborative professional culture, and improve systems of staff supervision, evaluation, support, and professional learning. Other things that we need to consider are just the facts and the information that are presented to us. What additional information would be nice to know? I've already said, we're not working with a lot of very specific background information on the school or how things are run there. We're just kind of looking at the scenario based off of a couple days, a couple interactions, a couple evaluations. So the information presented is very surface level and situation specific. More information and background would be incredibly beneficial for making a more informed decision on this situation. The observation form that is being used for this case study does not give much of a depth for a picture of who Miss Stevens is as a teacher. So, the other information that would be incredibly helpful to know is, what does the full supervision and evaluation process look like? Is it a once a semester formal scheduled observation where Miss Stevens had time to plan an engaging lesson? Is this an informal drop-in kind of thing? Is this was the original evaluation the first one that was conducted of that school year? Need a little bit more background information about how frequently a principal or supervisor evaluator is present in the classroom so that I know if they have a solid viewpoint of what an average day looks like, or if maybe just those two specific times they went into the classroom, it was more of an off day for the students. I would also like to know, what are the metrics being used for conducting evaluations and scoring teachers as effective or ineffective? Based off of the form that was used, it was kind of broken down into some very broad categories, things like personality, relationships with others, professional interest and attitudes, and teaching ability and discipline. So what do those look like? A little bit more information about like what professional interest looks like. What it is that they're scoring for teaching ability, how a personality falls into an evaluation as a whole. A little bit more specific metrics, how their scoring works, is if it's just versus effective or ineffective, if it's on like a 1 through 4 scale, a little bit more specific information about what the information is that they're gathering to score all of these things. I'd also love to know how the systems of staff supervision and evaluation are used and how often do they occur. Are they using these systems of evaluations to identify common themes? Are they using it to drive professional learning opportunities? Are they more just using it to check off some boxes and using it as a little piece of paper and some data to get rid of people they don't like? What are we talking about? How are we using these evaluations to drive student success and school improvement? It'd be nice to know if there's a teacher union. Is Miss Stevens part of that teacher union? Are they going to get involved and create a little bit more of a struggle for this principal to get rid of Miss Stevens if that ends up being the case? And then, like mentioned, what professional learning opportunities have been made available? If we're talking about how Miss Stevens is not great at discipline, her teaching abilities are not fantastic, has she had opportunities to improve those? Have they been provided to her? Is she's not just engaging in them? How is this data from supervisions and evaluations used to drive professional learning opportunities within this school? So, obviously, a lot more information would be incredibly beneficial. Do I have enough information to make a decision? I believe based off of what I have, I could come up with a couple creative solutions on where I would go as a principal with this situation. Obviously, more information would be fantastic. Do I have enough to move forward from here? Let's say yes.